I hope you guys enjoyed my best of 2024 video. I really had a fun time making that video and giving you guys my best of the best. And if you haven't checked it out, I will leave a link in the description below for you to go check it out. Please do support it because it really means a lot and it did take a little bit to make. But now we are going to get into, the worst, the absolute terrible. These are the movies that I saw this year that just made me contemplate life, existence, but realistically, how these movies got made. Seriously, I question how some of these movies came out the way they did, and they just weren't good, man. They were pretty much stinkers all around. Now, just like with my best stuff list with my honorable mentions, I'm going to give you guys my honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions. Now, these are movies that I have given 5 out of 10s to, and they're not necessarily terrible movies, at least by me. I don't think that they're necessarily the worst movies, but I'm also not going to sit here and deny that they are either mediocre, average, generic, whatever you want to call it. They are just the middle of the road, and they were just huge disappointments, or just movies that I knew I wasn't going to 100% like, but in the end, I didn't necessarily hate it, but I'm also not going to say I sit there and loved it. And just like with my honorable mentions, they are not in any sort of particular order, is in, I guess, like the order in which they were released. So for dishonorable mentions, we got Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, The Crow 2024, Megalopolis, Moana 2, and Mufasa the Lion King. Congratulations to those movies. You managed to just be as average as they come and go. But I will give you this. You managed to dodge a bullet. I'll say that. You have been spared, if you will, because these next 10 movies, and yes, people, it is only going to be 10 movies. It's not going to be 18, so this video should not be as long as the best of. But still, here are now the worst of 2024 films. Number 10. A moment of silence, if you will, as we mourn the loss of a great duo that fans of a certain webhead have grown to love ever since his humble beginnings back in 2018, and people have been sticking with this pair and have had to endure, or had the pleasure of witnessing. But like I said, moment of silence, if we will, if it was opposite day, because let's face it, for Spider-Man fans' sake, I hope that Venom: The Last Dance is truly the last dance. Seriously, in the end, what did this trilogy amount to? I mean, it seems like Sony was trying so hard to get Venom into the MCU, with at the very least his post-credit scene for Venom: Let There Be Carnage, but also with Spider-Man No Way Home with his little post-credit scene, that they were trying to set him into this MCU, but clearly Marvel was like, nah, take that back. we do not want that. If you could leave us a little symbiote, that'll be fine. But take this version of Eddie Brock and Venom, take them away. We don't want them. And in the end, what we get is a conclusion that I just feel like, in the end, just limps to the finish line. Because as much as I will say this isn't the weakest, I will say that it's not the best. I can say that much. It's truly just another Sony Spider-Man villain adaptation. What can I say? And trust me, there's going to be more of those on this list. But for now, yeah, I mean, this was just like a whimper, if you will. Like I said in my review, that's what it just feels like in the end. Number 9. Who would have thought that a movie that came out in 2019 became a $1 billion success for Warner Brothers? And it was based off of a DC character, a villain, if you will. And people cultivated with that movie and pretty much enjoyed what they got out of it. Then, the director and even the star decide, well, you know what? Let's make a sequel, and let's just make it a sequel that, in the end, is just worthless, if you will, and that would be Joker Folie à Deux. Seriously, how this movie was put together and how this story came about, or how this is all played out, it's just honestly just laughable to see Todd Phillips try so hard to make a musical when I was, like I said, sitting next to a friend who said, the whole point of a musical is to progress the plot along through the music. And if this movie couldn't do that, then what was the point of the musical elements? Seriously, what was it? As much as I give credit to the performances, in the end, this was unnecessary. In the end, it makes us question, like, were we the idiots the entire time getting excited for this? Because I don't even think there should have been a sequel to Joker. I don't think anybody was clamoring for a Joker sequel, but somehow Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, in his mind of, hey, I thought it would be great to make a sequel to Joker based on a musical, and yes, that was Joaquin Phoenix's influence on this movie, and that is he dreamed that the sequel would be a musical. I'm not joking. And the fact that Todd Phillips just completely ignored DC and just kept on listening and just going to Warner Brothers the entire time, it kind of just shows his lack of actually willing to cooperate with something that is really a DC character. And I'm not asking for nostalgia or anything. Nobody was asking for it. But yet you deliver on a movie that in the end, what was this the point of? Seriously, what did this lead up to? This is just sad. And you didn't make us care anyway. And you just made us think like, all right, well, why was this called Joker in the end? Who knows? If you want to listen to Todd Phillips, fine. Me, you wasted everybody's time. You wasted time and talent. Number 8. Westerns. They are a dying breed, but they sometimes come here and there, and they usually find either some success or at the very least gain like a cult following or at least like a niche love from people. And I respect to see people bring the Western genre to life in this day and age, and I am always respecting those who put forth that effort. And as much as I can say that the production, the direction, and the cinematography, music was all there. I'm just gonna say this: Horizon American Saga Chapter 1 was fucking boring. Boy, oh boy. I could not tell you what the story of this movie is because it's just a bunch of subplots just strung together to, I guess, make a main plot, but in the end I don't really care. And what's funny is I would have praised the performances if they were all different from each other except for Jamie Campbell Bower, but otherwise everyone else just looks bored and just miserable being in this movie. Even Kevin Costner, who has been wanting to make this movie for decades, looks bored as shit. I just could not get behind this movie. This is truly something where this should have just been a mini series and a mini series only. The fact that there's going to be 3 more of these just makes me kind of baffled, especially when the box office for this movie did not do well and its sequel that was supposed to come out in August just was removed. They just completely removed it because, well, they knew that this wasn't going to work out as well as they were hoping for. And like I said, this is truly just Yellowstone meets Little House on the Prairie. But boy, you suck any fun from it. It's just all around just a bland, boring, and just uninspiring Western that to me, I would rather watch the shittiest Western ever than a boring one. And this was truly boring. Number 7. So I had just in my best of praised A24 with Love Lies Bleed, okay? And I gave an honorable mention to Civil War. So there were at least some A24 movies I enjoyed, but I have got to be honest, this is the first time I'm ever saying this, but I have now hit an A24 movie that I just think is just straight up bad, straight up terrible. And Y2K, you delivered on that. Oh boy, I was actually looking forward to this just because of the concept and the people involved in this, and the fact that this was such a disappointing and just downright unfunny film that it just makes me just question everything with this movie. Like Kyle Mooney, who is known for SNL and he had directed a previous movie before this that was actually well received. I don't know what he was doing. It just seemed like he was just kind of going along with whatever he thought was funny or just reminiscing about the 90s so hard to the point of not making any jokes that actually land. And talk about dialogue that tries so hard, feels so cringe in so many ways that it doesn't feel authentic. It just feels like actors are trying to be angsty and it's not. And the production, let me tell you, looks piss poor. As much as I praise A24 on its low budgets, this has got to be the worst in terms of their production usage. I mean, I understand. I'm not going to blame any other production crew. I am just merely talking about how much money was thrown at this and how it all kind of looked in the end because wow, this looks fucking cheap as shit. And it's just it hurts me a little bit because I was actually looking forward to this, and in the end I walked away being like, man, I'm kind of glad that I was not born in that Y2K because that Y2K would have sucked so badly. Number 6. In a day and age where we try to be a little bit socially conscious about the world around us, and also for a lot of black stories to be told out there for everyone to get that said message across about the world around us, really though how black people are treated in the media or in this case in films, we all strive to see those black strong voices be heard. But let me tell you, the American Society of Magical Negroes was not one of them. Let me tell you, director of this, I feel like, and I believe he was the writer. I said this in my review for that movie. It's almost like he had two scripts for two different movies, okay? He had an actual social commentary film and a rom-com. And he was walking to the office to focus features. He bumped into somebody. He didn't staple them all together. The pages flew apart, scrambled them both up, ran to the office, thought that he was slick, and actually got the papers in order. And then once he got there and was panicking, trying to get this movie pitched, he realized, oh, I combined both of the plots together. Okay. Because that's what it feels like with this movie. Talk about wasting potential that I think could have actually worked in terms of having a social commentary about how not only how black people are perceived in the real world, but also this whole trope of the whole magical Negroes that has been plaguing them for like decades in films. Just be such a wasted time, and instead focusing on a rom-com aspect that was not funny and just kind of felt like it was just shoehorned into this movie. Even though that is the whole crux of the film, is this guy going to this social media company and trying to help a white guy, but there's this girl that he falls in love with, and then the guy that he's trying to help falls in love with her. It's just such a mess, such a colossal waste of time, and this just really hurts because, again, I like seeing a lot of black talented directors, actors, writers show their talent and their skills, and this was not one of them. This was just a miscalculation and just misguided in so many ways. Number 5. Animated kids movies. Sometimes they vary. Sometimes you get really amazing movies like Inside Out 2, hefty ones, or like The Wild Robot. Some amazing animated films from really top tier animated studios, okay? And then you get animated movies like the Garfield movie, where I feel like there was so much, what's the word to describe it? So much laziness, if you will, in terms of how to make Garfield appealing to kids today. Because let's face it, nobody's gonna really care that much about Garfield. I'm not trying to be rude to anybody out there who actually likes Garfield, but let's face it, kids today, they don't know who Garfield is. We're probably like the last generation who knows who Garfield is because of the Bill Murray movies, okay? Because otherwise, I don't understand why they decided to make this for theaters. If this had been like a short or like a TV show, that could probably work. That could potentially work. A movie? No. This was a huge miscalculation if you ask me. Talk about a movie that just feels like Sony just had no ideas. They threw a dart on the board and they said, oh, we have Garfield. We could do something with that. And we won't make it live action because we heard that people hated the live action movie, so we'll make it animated. Okay, well, that's a, I guess, step in the right direction. But in the end, you just left me with a movie that I could give two shits about. And possibly give me one of the most unfunny animated movies I have seen this year. Seriously. I don't think I laughed at any of the jokes in this movie. And people, I could be a pretty easy, funny guy to amuse. There was nothing. What jokes was there? And the fact that this be out Furiosa at the box office, this hurts me. This still hurts me, and it still baffles me that a movie like this that feels so much like Sony just trying to cash in on Garfield's IP versus Furiosa, which is easily one of the better movies to have come out in May, gets dominated by a movie like this. I might as well just move on because it's just going to hurt me thinking about it. But truly awful in so many ways. Number 4. So I had this movie actually around 6 or 5, but the more I thought about it, because I originally was going to give this movie a 2, but it just bumped down to a 1. But I would say this is worse than the Garfield movie because boy, oh boy, as much as I had a laugh and a hoot watching this movie, especially with a friend of mine, we were laughing our asses off at this film. Yeah, Craven the Hunter, oh boy. Talk about a film that truly should be the last film that Sony ever does with this whole Sony Spider-Man villain universe bullshit. Because, people, do you honestly think that this is Craven? I truly would like to ask Spider-Man fans out there, because two of my friends, the one that I went with, one of my other friends, is a massive Spider-Man fan. They would look at this and be like, this is not even remotely close to what Craven is supposed to be. And listen, I understand. I am fine with changes to things. That is alright. But when you change, like, the core identity of what a character is supposed to be from the comics to this, fuck you. Okay? Truly, Sony, I ask you so many times, just stop. Nobody wants this. I mean, they like a good laugh. I mean, as much as I give credit to like the action, I will say this is probably the best of the Sony Spider-Verse villain films. But in the end, what did that amount to? You just left us with a slop, okay? And you want to talk about dialogue being bad? Ooh, especially to give it to poor Ariana DeBose. Ooh, that poor woman. She needs a win, really. I'm excited for Love Hurts, but she needs a win after this because wow, she was bad in this. Mainly, a lot of people were bad in this. So I can't 100% blame her, but still, wow, just oh boy, and especially the AER. Oh boy, the AER in this movie is just great. It's just awesome. Some of the best I've ever heard in a comic book movie. Oh. Number 3. Video game adaptations. We are seeing them starting to become better, and they are now going to be taken seriously as time goes on. But then you get movies like Borderlands, and they just completely shit the bed and make us remember the terrible, awful times movie studios did not give a shit about an IP. Oh man, I may not be the biggest Borderlands fan. I played the games, I enjoyed them, but I'm not like a massive fan. But Borderlands fans, I feel your pain too, because wow, you were screwed on something that could have been great, but instead was given a director, if you ask me, who never touched this property. Like, I hate to be an asshole to Eli Roth, because again, Eli Roth, he's a horror director, and whether you like him or not, he has carved a niche in his career for horror, alright? But why was he given this? Seriously, why was he given the task of writing this? Amongst the production issues behind this movie, being reshoots and all, the fact that most of the actors don't kind of resemble any of the characters, although I'll give credit to Ariana Greenblatt. She was, I think, if you ask me, pretty good as Tiny Tina. And as much as Jack Black tried, he couldn't even save this shit. Kate Blanchett, God bless her, but wow, I think she was miscast for this role. Same with Kevin Hart. As much as he was not as bad as I thought he would be, man, he's goddamn boring in this. Jamie Lee Curtis, she looks like she's lost and confused. But man, and the fact that you tried to announce Borderlands 4 after this movie, what was that? And the fact that Randy Pitchford tried so hard to denounce all the negative criticism towards this movie, but then again, nobody cares about Randy Pitchford and everyone hates him. Borderlands fans, you are really suffering with this one, and as somebody who had to go through the Uncharted movie the same way, I feel your pain. I really do. Number 2. Christmas movies. We love them, all right? We love our good Christmas movies when they do come out, but then when you get movies like Red One, ooh. I think what hurts me the most about this movie is the fact that this was used really to get Amazon subscribers, all right? This was the whole point of this movie's existence, or better yet, why it was put in theaters. It was because of the fact that they were trying to get people to subscribe to Prime. And if that's the case, that is a complete fuck you from me, because wow, this was not made for the theater. This just wasn't. The fact that The Rock tried to champion this for IMAX, that's a joke, right? That's a fucking joke, right? Because wow, he is now starting to kind of get on my nerves. I am holding out hope with the Smash Machine, but until then, The Rock, you have got to stop doing this old act, man, because man, you are kind of wasting people's time. You wasted Chris Evans' time, who is easily the best part about this movie. And I could say the same with J.K. Simmons, but poor J.K. Simmons was taken out 10 minutes after the beginning and doesn't come back until near the end of the movie. So, I mean, like, really, you just gave me mess. That's what you gave me. You gave me a mess of a film. And the fact that you use this to just get Prime subscription members, that already irritates me. And that just shows me, okay, nobody cared. Nobody cared about this fucking project. And the fact that The Rock also too made everyone wait 8 hours to go to shoot this movie, man, that already grinds my gear a bit. And that just makes me even angrier. But yeah, this is just a soulless corporate film that was just put together for the sake of getting people to sign up for a subscription service. Wow, that's where we're at in 2024. Ooh. Number 1. People, let's not kid ourselves. We laugh at this movie. We all enjoy making fun of it, and we all love talking shit about it. And people just love pointing out terrible things about this movie. But let's be serious when I say this. Man Web is fucking awful. Oh, Sony, I pray that you would stop after this. And the fact that you're trying to tell me that you're going to reboot this universe after something like Man Web came out in 2024, people, by the way, not 2004, not 1994, no, 2024. Yet this is a movie that so screams this belongs in any of those decades. Because, wow, you make every actor in this movie look embarrassing. Dakota Johnson, bless her heart, she tried, but I feel like she was duped into this movie, and she was trying to be as honest as she can be after the movie's release, and saying like, "Hey, I didn't know what to do with this movie. I really didn't." And the fact that she had to fire her, if I'm correct, I think she fired her agent after this. That should be a telltale sign of, yeah, I don't think was ever wanting to be a part of this. She even said in the beginning she never wanted to be a part of this. She only did it because her agent told her that she should do it. But this should be a sign to Sony that nobody cares about these films, alright? Nobody. Nobody cares about any of this shit. Spider-Man is who they care about. I hate to be an asshole when I say that, but god damn it, that's what people come to see these movies for. Not Man Web. Maybe Venom, but Craven, Morbius, no one cares. These are Spider-Man villains, two of them in which are, but like, these are characters that are only interesting because of Spider-Man. And the fact that you kept on teasing just Peter Parker and you couldn't just even say Spider-Man or allude to the fact that Spider-Man exists, it's like, what are we doing? Seriously. And whenever anybody talks about a terrible comic book movie, they will use something like this. And you know what? I couldn't blame them. All right. Not only is this for me the worst comic book movie I have ever seen, but this has got to be the worst movie of 2024 that I have seen. It is truly bad, it's truly awful, and Sony, you have to keep going. For some reason, to keep these licenses, you have to make shit, and you gotta keep on plowing just because you just can't make something good. Outside of the Spider-Verse movies, but then again, I would say that, and even with the MCU, they actually have people behind those. This is just really corporation behind those. Yeah, wow. Talk about embarrassment. So guys, that is my worst of list of 2024. I hope you enjoyed it. 2024 was a crazy year. I tried my best to catch up as best as possible, and I should be very, very soon. But if you are one of the few people that at least liked my videos, just thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It may be little, but I appreciate anybody that at the very least has been enjoying my videos. I really do appreciate that because I want to build myself up to being something and then hopefully someday become a filmmaker. I really do mean that. But now, 2024, we can close the book on that one. And now finally open into 2025. Because now, very soon, there will be a Den of Thieves review as well as Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. So yes, look forward to those reviews and other movie reviews coming soon.